Hello, and welcome to this very, very special interview that I'm doing today. I'm Kate Meralt, founder of Unbound Living and embodiment coach, and I am here today with the one and only magical Amy Clover.
Magic!
I'm so excited about this interview because I don't really do a lot of interviews with people, but Amy is one of the most amazing magical women that I've ever met in my entire life. And I feel like she has some really cool things going on right now. And she's been going through a lot that I think that a lot of people can relate to. So I would love to turn it over to you, Amy, and hear a little bit of your story so you can share with everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on here, by the way. And it has been a lot. Like over the past couple years, like, and I think that's why we were brought together again, because we've always been friends, like for the past few years. But I just feel like our paths have been very similar in our healing lately, which is amazing. But there's a lot of story on my website that you can find out about. I used to be suicidal. I got diagnosed with clinical depression and obsessive compulsive disorder in high school. So it was a rough and tumble getting out of that. But what really helped me was cognitive behavioral therapy mixed with fitness, because as I started to get stronger physically, I started to feel like I could hold on to the work that I was doing with my therapist a lot better and really talk myself into my strength through that work and through getting healthier physically. Well, as I got into the personal training world, as I got into the online fitness blogging world, I started feeling all of these expectations on myself. I started feeling like I have to look a certain way in order to be, somebody who tells other people what to do. I had to eat a certain way, because if I ate sugar every day, that's kind of failing. Like everybody told me, you need to eat paleo or you are unhealthy. And so I started having these really extreme thoughts and thinking I need to be this ideal 15% body fat at all times. Otherwise, I'm worth nothing at all. Like it doesn't matter if I'm like 17. That is just as bad as being like, however much. It doesn't matter. It's just that I held myself to really extreme standards. And so what happened was I got booked for a shoot. I do fitness videos. And I got booked for a shoot, and I told myself, this is the time I'm going to show everybody what I'm made of, which came from a place of I need to show people what I'm made of, because if I don't, I just won't be worth anything at all. It was just like, this is my chance to show people who I am, because I have to live up to these expectations, not because I am worthy as I am. And so I restricted like crazy. So a little bit of detail, I was working out 2.5 hours a day and eating about 1,200 calories a day, 1,000 to 1,200. And I couldn't see why that was wrong. I didn't understand what my body was going through. I thought I had all this energy, but it was actually adrenal fatigue stage 1. And I felt like complete obsession. I was weighing myself every day. I was counting calories, like down to the calorie every single day. I was doing a crazy diet and working out like crazy. And then, so I got down to about 13% body fat, and I felt so powerful. I felt like I rule the world. As long as I look this way, I am powerful. I can do anything I want. I'm so worthy now. Like I feel like this is what I've been working for my entire life. When the shoot was over, I didn't know what to do with myself. I didn't have to rehearse 2.5 hours a day anymore. Didn't have to in the beginning either. I could eat what I wanted now. I didn't have to look this way for anything in particular. And I just felt like I completely lost control. I started binging like crazy. In 1 week, I binged 10 pounds back on, because I felt like if I couldn't have this massive amount of control and really force every part of my health and my nutrition, then I just had none at all. There was no in between. There was no balance. And so at the end of that week, I was just crying to a mentor of mine. And I was like, I can't stop. I don't know what to do. And she was like, I think you need to go back into recovery. I think you need to get help. As somebody who struggled with an eating disorder, I thought that if I wasn't throwing up my food, I wasn't in my eating disorder. I didn't realize that it had gone to the other extreme of anorexia. And so these are actually words I haven't said out loud to my people even yet.
Yeah.
So I just realized that it couldn't be that way anymore. I was just really tired of hating myself all the time. And so I went on a lot of work. I've done a lot of similar work to what you have done, Kate. Finding balance, really talking back to the extreme thinking, talking back to the fear, turning to love instead. I'm a spiritual person, so leaning on universe and really allowing universe to guide me through all my actions has been really powerful in my life. And just like refusing to be led by fear anymore, because I think of fear as almost this outside entity that's trying to like rule my life, like trying to like take control of me and make me do things that I don't want to do because I want a fulfilling, loving life. But fear tells me I can't have that. So I kind of think of it as like the boss at the end of the video game over here who's just like, but I won't let it win. So that's kind of what I've been going through, long form.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Truly, there's so much in there that I want to talk about. Like I was like that thing and that thing and
Go
that
for
thing.
it.
The biggest thing that like was sticking out to me, especially was that like feeling of like, if I can just have all of this in place, if I can just be in control of all of this, then everything will be okay. Then the world will know I'm worthy and capable of anything. And I feel like that is a place where so many people that I know and work with like are at a lot of the time. And I would love if you could speak a little bit more to that. And like when you realize, like, when you realize like that is not a great thought for me to have, or like that's not really helping me like feel how I want to feel. What were some of your processes, or what was something you did to start to shift that?
It was a gradual thing, because even when I went into recovery, I still believed that if I just could get down to that body weight again, hopefully by eating intuitively. I'm doing a lot of hands quotes today. But like, if I could just get down to that weight that I knew I was supposed to be at, I was destined to be at, right? Then I would be worthy. And for like about probably the first like 8 months of my recovery still felt that way. But gently, it started to soften around it. Not so much release, but it had to soften first, and then I could become more aware of it, and then I could start taking those small steps to talking back to it. So I guess it was a culmination of a lot of things to start countering those kinds of thoughts. But I think that the biggest thing that really helped me in the beginning, first of all, was the awareness that that was a thought, that it wasn't a truth, that it was a belief or a thought, and something that I had been instilled in me by outside forces. It wasn't necessarily like, what we believe about human beings. So it helped me to ask myself how I feel about other human beings. So when I could put it outside of myself, because we hold ourselves to the highest standards versus everybody else, I actually asked myself, and I started this actually from my therapist who cued me with this. She asked, if you came up to a little girl, or a little girl came up to you, say 8 years old, and she said, I want to go on a diet because I don't believe I'm worthy because I have 5 pounds to lose. How would you feel about her? Would you tell her, yeah, that's okay? Would you tell her that's true? Would you tell her she does need to lose those pounds? Or would you tell her you're so worthy? Like 5 pounds, it's like you just love yourself and it'll lead you to that fit, healthy body weight. I truly believe that, just from experience with my clients and with myself now going through this healing. So putting it outside of myself was really helpful for me to kind of challenge those thoughts and beliefs.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful, especially bringing like that child into it, whether it's like just impression of like a random child, or like, your inner child, or whoever that is. Because like I feel like a lot of times, these beliefs that we take on about how we have to do, like achieve to receive love, or like be or look a certain way in order to be worthy and deserving. It's like those messages come in so young.
Yeah.
Especially now when like, toddlers have access to iPads and media and things. It's like we get those messages so young, and I feel like it's really valuable to to do that, like that regular, like talking with your inner child, or like talking with that like part of you that just wants love and just wants to be heard and accepted. And like, I know, like I found that when I talk to that part, like I know like when I'm kind of getting back into like kind of like I have to do all the things, or like a little anxiety, crazy time, I have to be like, cool, what do you need right now, little girl inside of me? Like, what is actually underneath that? Yeah. I don't know if that's an experience that you've had, but if you could speak to that a little bit, that would be really cool.
Yeah, I'm a huge letter writer too. I know you are too. And I just, I wrote a letter to my inner child. I've written a few. We've gotten to know each other pretty well. And something that I do a lot of work with is just identifying needs. Because that's something that gets lost when we hold ourselves to these extreme standards. We don't think about our actual needs. We just think about what other people need of us. And a lot of the times that's made up, like totally made up. Like, and if you think about it, somebody told me this once, that us trying to control our bodies and the way that they look is us trying to control other people's perception of us. But we can never truly control that stuff. It's totally out of our hands. So taking a step back, looking at that kind of stuff, I totally got off track and forgot what you asked me.
That was perfect. I was just asking like how you talk with your, like if you chat with your inner child.
Yeah. And so I was resistant to it at first because I was like, oh, this is hokey. Like, am I really going to like imagine my inner child? And then I did, and I was like, like I really needed this. Like, because that's what I found for me, was that like, I felt like when I was younger, I wasn't validated. A lot of us millennials to Generation Xers even, were brought up by shame, like because we didn't have a lot of the research that shame caused a lot of these belief systems in us, and it's nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault, but it's a lot of the stuff that we're healing now through a lot of the work that's coming out, work that you and I are doing here, Kate, too, and it's just a brand new thing, which is funny because people still use shame a lot. And so getting rid of that shame is something that feels really uncomfortable to people because it's all we know. And so just know that that is totally normal if you're feeling that. But saying to your inner child and actually picturing yourself when you were little and trying to ask him what his needs are, and maybe actually trying to give yourself that love that maybe you didn't get when you were little. I bet that itself is going to be a transformational experience.
I love that. I love that so much. And I love that what you just spoke to too. I know this is something that I'm in process with, and I think you're also in process with too, but I would love to just have a little bit of a conversation around like once you kind of get beyond that point of like, okay, I love myself, and I find that like, at least most days I feel really worthy and deserving. And then how to balance that with like, but I still want to challenge myself and have goals, and like I want to get stronger in my body, but I don't want to be crazy again.
Yes. I'm so glad you asked that, because that's one of the biggest questions when people start embarking on this work. They're like, I fear that if I fully accept myself, I'm going to let myself go. And that's and I love when people ask me that, because if you think about truly loving yourself, would it actually be honoring your needs, honoring that love for yourself if you let yourself go? Because if you think about it, overeating or not having any goals at all, not reaching for personal development, self-growth, is almost just avoiding life. Because things happen to us all the time that cause us to need to grow. All kinds of experiences are brought to us. We don't even need to go after them. They're brought to us. There is a universal order of things, I truly believe. And there are options for us to choose to grow or to choose to stay the same. I believe in a lot of the cases, the most loving choice is to choose to grow, to choose to see what you can learn from this experience. Yeah. And so loving options are, eating what you need, following what makes your body feel good. It's really about taking that rest, but also pushing your limits a little bit, because that is loving yourself, is learning new things, following your joy, following what lights you up. All of those things will lead you to keep growing and keep having new goals. And that's what I found for me too. When I released the fear-based goals, I started, slowly filtering in came all of these really love-based goals. Like I went into Taekwondo because I'm a huge superhero fan. Daredevil is my favorite show. I'm watching it for the 4th time right now. I don't even care. And I would watch Daredevil and I'd be like, I want to do that, what the stunt double did. So I reached out to him. I was like, tell me what to do to be like you when I grow up. And he told me extreme martial arts. And so he connected me with this person, Mike Chat in LA, who connected me with my Taekwondo studio down here in San Diego. And now I'm doing tournaments and stuff. And it's just like all of this stuff opens up to you. It's just amazing. The world that is in my mind now, that is completely free of the food obsession thoughts, the body obsession thoughts. I am able to think of so many more things with my life and creativity, and just open up all of these channels that were blocked before because of how perfect I had to be. It's just completely opened my mind up. It's been crazy.
Oh, I love that so much. Also, didn't you get first place in your first Taekwondo tournament? I just gotta give you a shout out for that. That's freaking amazing.
Thank you.
But oh my God, I love everything you just said so much, because that's totally true. Because it can be a big fear of and that it makes sense, because fear comes in when we're starting to operate differently, right?
Yes.
Because it's unknown. And it's like, oh my God, but who would I be without this food obsession? Who would I be without this need to prove and achieve and control perceptions? And I love what you just said, is so many things can open up, because it's if we imagine our energy going into this pipeline, and it's clogged up by this, just these same thoughts and over and over and over again. But when that gets cleared out, all of these other avenues can start to flow in. And it's there's more energy for creativity. There's more energy for moving in ways that make you feel fun and powerful. And I can't even remember the last time I've been on an elliptical machine, because that shit is not fun to me.
It is not fun. I don't know who it's fun for.
Right. But going to pole dancing classes, or going to Taekwondo, for you, or for me, these are things that are fun. And I love doing that stuff, because I feel sexy and powerful, and I can do anything. But it's not because I'm at a certain body fat percentage. It's not because I'm at a certain weight. It's because I'm doing something that actually lights me up.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Awesome.
Yeah. And I feel I had a really cool thing that I would love to hear your thoughts on it. I had a client, kind of before we wrap up, a client pointed out to me that she realized how much she intertwined confidence with security, and feeling secure was actually what she was thinking when she was thought about being confident, of being secure in herself, and being secure in being able to speak up, or have her needs met, and things like that. I feel a lot of times when people want confidence, that's actually what they want. They want to feel I'm good in myself. And I was just curious if you have any practices or tips around creating that confidence, or creating that sense of security.
Yeah. And I think you really hit the nail on the head when you said getting your needs met. I think that's been my ultimate confidence booster. I used to, when I first got into doing Strong Inside Out, I talked about confidence from a place of not having any. And so I was like, all you need to do is love yourself. And just totally empty, stuff that you hear all across the internet. But now I really do feel confident. It's just a completely different, grounded feeling. And I think that it all started with acknowledging my needs and actually standing up for them is the thing. Because I feel a lot of us, especially who hold ourselves to high standards, or us perfectionists, are only thinking about other people. It's why we're perfectionists. We have to do this in order to be good enough for everyone else.
Yeah.
But we don't look at ourselves, and we don't ask ourselves what we truly need, what our bodies truly need, what our mind truly needs. And when we start standing up for those things, that's when confidence starts coming in, because when you start standing up for yourself, it's this new experience. I remember when I first started doing it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually do that for myself. And I can actually get that met, and it feels so fucking good. And you're like, whoa, I'm doing that for myself, and I don't need it from anyone else. Nobody else has to do that for me. I don't need validation from you. I don't need to look a certain way for you. And that's where the confidence came in for me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. That's so perfect. Thank you for that, because I feel like
Yeah.
that's such a huge piece of it. I think a lot of people like have the and I used to be like this person too. Like my goal was confidence, where but really confidence is a side effect of getting your needs met and of
Yeah.
taking care of yourself.
Completely.
So thank you.
Yeah, of course. That's such a good question.
Oh, I feel like I could ask you like 100 million more
I know.
questions.
Maybe we should do this again.
Yeah. And I would just love if you could share one thing with like just whatever comes through right now with the people who are listening to this around just like being worthy, being deserving, knowing what that where they're at is exactly where they need to be. Like what would you share with people who are kind of like not really sure if that's true?
Let me think about this one really quick.
Yeah.
I would say that worthiness isn't an action. It
Mm.
doesn't require doing. It doesn't require anything but just being who you are. And I would say also, just like I said before, that if you're doubting worth in yourself, think about a little version of you, or a little kid, say your own kid. Like whenever you have a kid or a niece, nephew, something like that, evaluate their worth and see if you need their worth to count on what they look like. And if you do, maybe some people do, then asking yourself where that comes from. Where have you heard that before? Is that truly your voice? Is it somebody else's voice? And just kind of journaling around that and seeing what comes up with you for it. Also, writing a letter to your self-worth or your body image can be really, really helpful too.
Awesome. Love that. Especially like separating out your worth or your body image, like for you, like if like I kind of see the world like we're in relationship with everything. So if I'm in relationship with my body image, I'm in relationship with my body, I'm in relationship with you, like all of these things. And it's like, yeah, they are part of me, but they are not me.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
so huge.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Well, Amy, thank you so much for being here, for sharing so much of yourself. Like this has been really, really special. And I'm really excited for future collaborations that we have coming up, which for those of you listening, you will hear about those soon. But right now, I just really want to honor you and your journey and where you've been and where you're going. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yay. Awesome. Till next time, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
I love us so much.